steps from the Capitol in Cheyenne with reporters in your hometown. These are the top stories from the Cowboy State Daily News Center.
It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Monday, December 22nd. I'm Mac Watson. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon has received 5 clusters of complaints asking him to oust county officials from their offices. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that 3 former Wyoming governors say that number is unprecedented.
Governor Sullivan, Governor Geringer, and Governor Friedenthal, and they were all like, we don't remember anything like this happening to us. You would feasibly remember because the governor himself is asked to do an investigation. It's his task. So it's just this thing now where Governor Gordon's had 5. One of them he did say rose to the level of malfeasance, and the other one he said, no, it's kind of sloppy. And now he's got 3 that are churning right now that he's doing investigations on and considering.
There are still 3 actions on the governor's desk that are still pending, including a complaint to remove 2 of the 3 Hot Spring County commissioners, a refreshed complaint against Weston County Clerk Becky Hadlock that now includes claims she filed a false post-election audit, and a complaint to remove the entire 3-man Platte County Commission. About 3,200 people of Lexington, Nebraska's 11,000 residents work at a huge Tyson Foods beef processing plant, but just for another month. Cowboy State Daily's Greg Johnson reports that the plant's sudden shutdown impacts the whole town, including healthcare.
The hospital CEO wrote this huge scathing letter to Tyson's board about how it would impact not just the plant, but the whole town, trickling down healthcare. With so many fewer patients, all of these people at once losing their company healthcare. What's the fallout going to be if a lot of these families have to move to find new jobs? There's not going to be nearly as much need for this rural healthcare, which is real struggling to hang on anyway.
For 35 years, the beef plant has been by far the largest employer and economic driver of Lexington. The new reality facing the University of Wyoming is to maintain its major Division I athletic programs, so it needs to generate revenue that is paid to players. Cowboy State Daily's David Madison reports that UW will have to build up a war chest to keep up with rival schools like CSU and BYU in this brave new world of college athletics.
We're all accepting this harsh reality that we're going to lose amateur college athletics and there's going to be an entry fee. What is it for Wyoming? It could be at least $2 million. And, how are we going to generate that? Well, it's doing better job getting sponsorships, getting fans and businesses that know that their customers are fans to get behind it with their marketing budgets. Wyoming's at a disadvantage just because of the size of the population. It's tapping into donors.
Alex Jewell, UW's Assistant Athletic Director for Development, tells Cowboy State Daily that, quote, rising costs have affected everyone because scholarships cost more than they did 20 years ago. So the goal, Jewell adds, isn't just recruiting, it's retention. A new helium plant in Sublette County will boost Wyoming's share of global helium output to about 30%. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that the new plant will generate nearly $2 billion in taxes and royalties.
It'll be about 10% of the world's helium supply. That's a lot for a single plant. The nearby ExxonMobil owns a plant called, I think it's Schutt's Creek, and that's about 20% of the world's helium supply. So that's 30, those 2 plants together in Wyoming. Russia is the biggest global player in helium. It supplies about 40% of the world's helium supply.
Blue Spruce co-founder Andrew Moses tells Cowboy State Daily that construction of the new facility will take 3 construction seasons, and the reason for that is to minimize the impact to wildlife during the critical November 15th through April 30th window. I'll be back with more news from Cowboy State Daily right after this.
The Wyoming way of life. There's nothing like it. And no financial partner like your local cooperative credit union to help you live life the way you want to. We help you save for a brighter future. Borrow for your dream home. Start your small business. We've got your finances, and you've got plans, so go ahead, pitch a tent. Head for the rodeo. Reel in a big trout. Fire up the smoker. Wyoming's credit unions are here to stay, and here for you.
Cowboy State Daily News continues now. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis on Friday announced she's not running for a second term. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that according to the junior senator from Wyoming, Lummis says she just doesn't have a second term in her.
In Congress, we see a lot of constant debate and arguing and sometimes name calling and just information flowing constantly. And her statement said, I just don't have 6 years left in me. So we went ahead and talked to a prominent Politico, Liz Brimmer, who said that seat is Harriet Hageman's if she wants it. Hageman's in the 2-year term cycle of the U.S. House. If she wants to run for the 6-year, more solid, more steady term of U.S. Senate, the conjecture is that she could probably swing that. She's had overwhelming victories recently in her House elections.
Senator Lummis is the first woman elected to the Senate from Wyoming. After a month of above-average temperatures, below-average precipitation, and intense windstorms, the same weather patterns that prevented snow from reaching Wyoming will continue through Christmas. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports forecasters are saying expect a brown Christmas this year.
We still have that high pressure ridge in the Bering Strait that's blocking winter weather and sending it elsewhere. So if you're looking at the East Coast and wondering why they're getting slammed with snow and sub-zero temperatures, that's Wyoming's winter. It's just being shifted eastward. That high pressure ridge doesn't show any signs of breaking before Christmas. So what that means is temperatures are still going to be above average. The chances of moisture are very low. There's a chance that there might be some snow in western Wyoming, and the mountains are still getting some snow. If you're dreaming of a white Christmas this year, keep dreaming.
Meteorologist Don Day tells Cowboy State Daily that Wyoming isn't really known for having a white Christmas. In fact, according to Day, Wyoming more likely will have snow on Halloween than Christmas morning. At age 12, Haley Cole's father murdered her mother and tried to blame Haley for the crime. Cowboy State Daily's Jen Coker reports the Lander woman has turned her family tragedy into help for others.
She shares her own story both as, what happened to her, what happened to her mother, and she sees herself as her mother's voice. And she made that conscious decision early on. She knew she couldn't bring her mother back, but she could speak for her mother and other domestic violence victims. So she made that conscious decision and still does today, and still goes on and does these presentations both for high schoolers and for groups across the country.
Brad Rie was convicted of killing his wife Tamara and died in prison in 2024. A cow moose nicknamed Big Betty has been calmly wandering around Evanston, delighting residents and avoiding trouble. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that wildlife officials say even though Big Betty is unusually peaceful, they're still warning people to keep their distance.
Apparently Big Betty, she got really popular on social media, and the one person I talked to said she was very well behaved, didn't cause any trouble. Did talk to Game and Fish, and they said, yeah, they got some calls about her, nothing that sounded too grave or disturbing, so they kind of let her do her thing. She's apparently wandered out of town. She's back in the countryside, but she might show up again. You never know.
Wyoming Game and Fish Green River Regional Wildlife Supervisor James Hobbs tells Cowboy State Daily that it's not unheard of for moose to venture into town from time to time, and the Bear River Corridor near Evanston, as well as the nearby Bear River State Park, are good moose habitat. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting that daily newsletter button at cowboystatedaily.com. And you can listen to this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel or listen to us on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening. I'm Mac Watson for Cowboy State Daily.